Friends, India is a great country and we all must be blessed to have been born here. This Saturday, let's look at the phenomenal growth story that we have had. And, keeping aside all the terror strikes, counter terror strikes, debate that keeps happening on the almost every channel. Of course, we have a job deficit, we have farmer distress, like any other nation. We still are Asia's third largest economy. In 2018, we had a GDP growth of $2.7 trillion. 2019 saw, a slight increase and it worked out to be $2.83 trillion. 2020 saw a slight dip with $2.67 trillion and that may be due to COVID, but 2021 saw a major jump and it rose to almost $3.18 trillion. And this probably will sustain for the next few years. Now, if the GDP grows, we see an economic growth, which in turn leads to job creation and employment opportunities. However, in an election season, when politicians extol the virtues of a robust economy, we need to understand the fine print. Now, India has more than 50% of its population below the age of 25 and more than 65% below the age of 35. The median age in India is about 28 compared to 37 in China and 48 in Japan. Great advantage. Now, India's dependency ratio, a measure showing the ratio of the number of dependents aged 0 to 14 years and over the age of 65 to the population aged 15 to 64 is currently about 0.5. Now, the labor force participation, another important parameter, labor participation rate, updated every year, is a selection of working population in the age group of 16 to 64. As per the CEIC data, the labor force participation rate has been dropping, which is a concern. It slightly increased to 41.6% in 2021 compared with 40.1% in the previous year. We had an all-time high of 58.3% in December 1990 and a record low of 36.9% in 2018. Consequently, the unemployment rate too increased to 7.1% in December 2020. In the long term, however, the labor force participation rate is projected to trend around 50%, which is fairly good. A dropping trend indicates lower labor participation rates and probably job losses due to drop in economic growth. It's also a concern that in spite of a well-intentioned Make in India program and a much publicized FDI inflow, the country has underperformed in the manufacturing sector. Even as it emerged as the world's sixth biggest auto manufacturer and expanding production of smartphones with new manufacturing hubs coming up. Production of goods and services, a factor for GDP growth, requires raw materials and other resources. When new source of raw material such as oil is, discovered, more products will be made. At a time when international crude oil price has been directly impacting India's GDP, inflation and current account deficit, its production at home had fallen continuously for at least some years in the past. The crude oil production, which was 38.1 million metric tons a decade back, slumped to 35.7 million metric tons in 17-18 as per the data of the Petroleum Planning and Analysis Cell. However, it's very heartening to note that the cumulative crude oil production during April-May last year, 2022, was 50 million metric tons, which is 2.86% and 1.79% higher than the target for the period of production during corresponding period of the last year, respectively. Friends, our crude oil import bill is massive. It surged 76% to $90.3 billion, US dollars, in the first half of 22-23. Even as the total import quantity increased by 15% to 116.6 million metric tons because of supply squeeze by the producers cartel who wants to keep the international prices artificially high. What must be done to preserve the growth that we are witnessing? Economic growth shows a marked improvement in GDP when the labor force gains more human capital, including skills and general knowledge. As producers gain the tools to make more goods and provide more services, education is extremely important, skills is extremely important. National Skills Qualification Framework, NSQF, which would institutionalize skills in education, must make more headway. Current skills are limited to imparting only modular skills. Skills must be grouped together for better employability. NEP has led a fast tracking of reforms in education, and that's a good thing. However, states must come on board too in implementing the reforms in the spirit in which they were brought about. The discovery of new processes, tools, devices will also lead to huge jump in the economic growth and productivity. For example, the invention of the assembly line speeded up production of automobiles, clothing and toys. When entrepreneurship results in new discoveries, the whole economy benefits. Startups like Ola, Cabs, Address Health, Zomato, Paytm have all been very successful. However, the number of new jobs that they have created as a percentage of growth is debatable. A transforming technology that's heavily dependent on automation and artificial intelligence has not helped either. It has mutated and shrunk the available jobs and job markets, adding to the overall pressure. Though our global innovation index is 40 now, that it has improved much over the years, a great dependence on imported technology is an impediment to our growth story. When people trade their money for goods and services, a mutually benefit exchange occurs, which, when multiplied across the entire economy, increases growth and well being. Friends, we need to reduce regulatory regimes, taxes, and barriers to trade for more exchanges to occur between other nations and ourselves. This will have a pronounced effect on the growth rate. Our exports must increase. According to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, the 15 largest trading partners of India represent 59% of the total trade by India in the financial year 1920. This is a big improvement on the previous years. But India must now look to create new jobs, both in the urban and the rural landscape. Some signs of weakness in the economy, most alarmingly in rural communities, where incomes have been hit by falling farm prices, and that has not really helped the problem. It has only compounded some problems. In this background, the Prime Minister's launch of Rozgar Mela, the recruitment drive for 10 lakh personnel, where appointment letters were handed over to 75,000 newly inducted appointees, is a great move aimed to lessen the distress. Over a period of time, more jobs will accrue. The opposition has been quick to point out the fallacies. In a political world, the cause one is fighting for must be justified. By questioning the motives, one can narrow the base of support and the room to maneuver. When all parties come under the moral attack from each other, they will whine or get angry and fight fire with fire. Rather, all parties must come together and unite to make India great. Friends, every story has a silver lining. Our story is in the right hands and is on the right track. That's our strength. It's for us now to grow to dizzying heights. With that, I end today's episode with a promise to be back with you next Saturday. Until then, thank you, namaskar, and dhanyavad.